welcome to Hardly Working Through It, the unfiltered, uncensored version of our podcast, a show so raw that even Gordon Ramsay wouldn't send it out of his kitchen. I'm SP.
And I'm Kelly. And while I wish we were talking more about Gordon Ramsay and the different things he's been on, today we're going to be talking about things in our things that we implemented or got or put in our life that made our life so much better that we wish we would have done it sooner.
Yes. So I found a list of these things. And the question, like Kelly said, what's something that has changed your life so significantly that you wish you would have done it earlier?
The quality of your life.
Quality of life. Yeah. So many things there. I want to talk about not just those, but also our versions of those. So let me pull up a few and you can tell me what strikes your fancy, what clicks with you, Kel, once I pull it up.
Sure.
What improved your quality of life so much you wish you did it sooner? Plan something in the middle of the week. And in case that wasn't clear, the middle of the week. Sorry, I slurred it all together.
That's okay. I feel like we're just jumping right in, which is great. But can I say this before we get in there?
Do you want to just start over?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up? Oh, what do you want to say?
No, I will say it on the podcast.
Oh, okay. But we just don't have anything to like catch up on in the beginning or anything like that.
No, but I have a thought.
But you said, like, I feel like we're just jumping right into it.
I did.
Not okay?
Normally we talk about it. Normally we say like, yeah, it's such an interesting thing.
Oh, yeah, we can do that. It did feel fast to me, too. I just didn't know
why I was like,
how else to get there.
All right, take two.
All right, it's still laughing at my Gordon Ramsay thing. Or I can come up with another one.
No, it's good.
I'm kind of going Who's Line style, you know?
Go for it. Yeah.
Every week for Hardly Working Through It, I make up something new.
I thought it was perfect.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2 1 2. Hello and welcome to Hardly Working Through It, the unfiltered and uncensored version of our podcast, a show so raw that even Gordon Ramsay wouldn't send it out of his kitchen. I'm SP.
And I'm Kelly, and he wouldn't send it out of his kitchen. Let's be clear.
In fact, he'd never send something raw out.
No. But today we are going to be talking about things that we've maybe implemented into our life that have made our quality of life so much better that we wish we would have done sooner.
Yes.
Which is such an interesting thing. Did I read that right? What improved your quality of life so much you wish we would have done it sooner?
Yeah.
I think it's such an interesting thing because I think that you and I actually talk about this quite a bit.
We do.
But I've never thought about it in terms of this, of like, oh, if I could have gone back 20 years ago, I'm old. Like knowing what I know now, even 10, 15 years, like, oh, I wish I would have done this then. Like I think we talk about it. I don't think we've ever like sat down and talked about the things.
We've never like gone through it list by list, but you and I really identify with the philosophy of 6 months from now, you will have wished you had started today.
Yeah, that's true.
And this is kind of similar to that, you know?
Kind of, but it's kind of like a weird top knots, but not of like things we've done in our life that we've made it better. It's also going to really show me the things that we each value.
Yeah, no doubt. And hopefully for those of you listening or watching, it'll be things that you can implement or take away or start doing or thinking about in your own life. So it'll be mutually beneficial.
While I know that you and I each brought our own lists of things, I also know that you brought a list from the interwebs.
Yes, we went on the interwebs. That is the sound of Kelly shooting Spider-Man webs from her hands.
Because the interwebs at the palm tree.
That's how it got spiderwebby.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I pulled this question and a lot of the answers here just to get us going and to start thinking about it. So you want to jump into some of the things that people answered? All right. So the question was, what improved your quality of life so much you wish you did it sooner? One of the answers was plan something in the middle of the week. Don't wait to live your life only on the weekends.
Sure.
That doesn't sound fun to me.
I get it. It sounds more fun to me.
Does it? What would you do if you implemented things in the middle of the week?
We do that sometimes. We've been talking, for instance, about taking a Vegas trip that you're now saying you don't want to go on.
Just because we were playing slot machines on our iPad and you're like, we got to go to Vegas.
No, but hear me. We're doing this too in a couple of weeks.
What? The retreat?
Yeah. Like planning it during the week versus on the weekend is so much better. And for me, I look at the two.
Yeah.
I am someone that grew up working a 9 to 5. And so doing things in the middle of the week was difficult because I mostly had the weekends off. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that doing stuff in the middle of the week is way better. Because there's like
you get to chill during the weekend.
Well, there's not as many people out and about during the week because most people are working. You get to do that thing then, and then during the weekend you still have the weekend to like be at home and do the things that you want to do. So I think it's a great idea.
All right. I mean, I don't disagree. I just don't like the idea of packing my schedule with even more stuff.
That doesn't mean packing your schedule. It just means like,
honestly, anytime I put even one more expectation, like a nightly expectation during the week, that's going to conflict with homework and going to conflict with our time together or whatever it is always a significant addition.
sure.
But I understand the sentiment of don't wait to the weekends to live your life.
Yeah. I'll go to Disneyland in the middle of the week. Have fun.
There you go. How about this one? Saying no without an essay attached.
Yeah. That's a hard one for me, but
Me too.
it's been a good one when I can implement. Just like, no. Yeah, it's so dumb. I've talked about this before and it feels so weird because it comes from the Olsen family. But Elizabeth Olsen in an interview a couple years ago was like the best thing I learned from my sisters, which they actually learned from my dad, was that no is a complete sentence. And like every time I hear it, every time I think about it, I'm like, it's still mind boggling and blowing to me because I'm like, yeah, no is a complete sentence. Someone could ask you something and you could say no. You don't have to give a reason why. The answer can just be no.
Now, grammatically, that's incorrect. It is not a complete sentence because it doesn't have a verb and a noun. But I understand what you're saying.
The thought is that you can just say no.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest.
That's a good enough answer.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest gifts I feel like we can give the little ladies in our life is no is a complete sentence. There doesn't need to be a good enough reason. There doesn't need to be a reason that you say that they can refute. The answer can just be no.
I should put that somewhere so I remember it.
That phrase?
Yeah. I'm such a people pleaser that this is hard for me. I can do it sometimes, but I do feel the need to give an excuse or a reason as to why when the answer can just be no.
I always think about it in terms of peer pressure, specifically for young women who are being coerced into doing something they may be uncomfortable doing.
Yeah, I hear that. I don't see it that way. I see it more in business. I hear what you're saying because no is a complete sentence and that people should say no and it should be heard as no. But I think that the phrase that I brought up is more in terms of like when you think about like business or the industry or anything. For the most part, girls can't just say no. They have to have a reason as to why. Whereas like you as a guy could be like no,
yeah,
and they wouldn't question you.
Yeah,
it's like if I don't want to do a gig, if I don't want to work with you, I should just be like no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wish it was that simple, and I guess it could be. But the problem is, then you kind of seem like an asshole.
But are you, or are you just holding your boundaries and sticking to what you want? And that's
it's a fine line, right?
Perception is reality, and we've like taught ourselves that it's not necessarily true all the time. It's okay to say no, but I think that's such a great thing. Sorry, I'm hot.
You're always.
That's why I'm doing this.
Always hot. This is kind of similar to that, but the person said, "I stopped saying yes to things I didn't want to do." Boy, that is something.
There's a difference, though.
There is a difference, yeah. And I wish I could have said. I wish I would have stopped saying yes to things that I don't want to do. And I still say yes to things I don't want to do.
Me too. But I wish I could get better at that. It's hard. You don't have an excuse. We're such honest people.
They're the same. Yeah,
We're such honest people. It is hard to be like, no, I don't want to do that. Or no, I can't do that. Or no. But we've gotten better at that as we've had less time because we've been working more at just being like, sorry, we're not available.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's okay. We don't have to bend over backwards to do stuff with people all of the time.
I think that's why I keep my circles small, because the more people in my circle, the more people have expectations or will say things that I'll either need an excuse to not be a part of or have to let them down. Yeah. I really don't like letting people down, which I know you know. And that's probably why I have less people in my life, so I have less opportunity to let people down.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You never
working
let me
through
down.
that right now. Thinking through that right in this moment.
You never let me down. Only when you don't rub my feet at nighttime.
2 nights ago I did. And I know we're going to do that last night too, but I was already in
tired.
bed.
I was sleepy. I was just giving you a hard time.
I was already in bed.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
This one you're going to like. Something that changed their life and wished they would have done earlier, taking a yearly vacation.
Yeah.
Tell me why you want to take a vacation and why it would change your life. Or why it's life-changing or whatever the phrase is.
I just want to not have to think about anybody else but myself for just a second. That's it. That's what a vacation is. A vacation is just getting to go and be your person. Maybe you're there maybe you have to think about the person you're with. But if you're taking a vacation with that person, it normally means that you guys work pretty well together. And so you don't have to like really work hard at it. I just want to lay by a beach with my Kindle in hand and a drink in the other with sunscreen on, where I can take a dip in the pool and then go lay out and walk the beach, eat all of the food I want whenever I want. That's what I want to do. I want that so badly.
Do you feel like you're going to get that from the retreat a little bit?
No.
Okay.
There's no beach there.
We specifically didn't want to go to a beach for this.
Because I felt like this is a work retreat and I felt like it'd be better to be in a mountainy place.
For sure. That's fair.
You said vacation.
Yeah, you're right.
This is not that. I do think that is a lesson that you haven't quite learned yet. A life lesson. That vacation is good for you because you can't turn it off.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if that's a recent thing. You've known me for a decade pretty much now.
You can't turn it off.
Have I ever been able to turn it off? I mean, I understand we've been to vacations and we've turned it off. But
yes, I do think you can. I just think you think it's bad to do that. I think though, as we're coming into this new season of life and of talking about where we're headed, I think that vacation will be easier for you because you won't feel like you're always missing out. Because I think you'll have a trajectory that's different than what you currently have.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I think,
but that's going to leave me even more motivated to be running after that.
Yeah, objective. But you have to be filling yourself up in order to continue running.
I've read multiple articles this week that the secret to productivity is vacation. Sleep. The most underrated thing is getting
and what we haven't been doing enough is.
Yeah, but that's not because of too much work.
No.
That's just staying up too late and getting up too early. I got up at 5:30 this morning.
Yeah.
Just cause. But I also went to bed earlier. So it all pans out.
Yeah, sure.
But I will get there. I will get there with that. There was one that came up that I have done that has been life-changing for me. This person said, turning off all push notifications except for essentials.
You've done that.
I've done that. I don't get notifications from anything that I don't need a notification from. So the only apps that I have that give me notifications are Uber, because I need to know when they're pulling up or whatever.
It's been too much though now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we got to see if we can change some of those Uber settings. All I need to know if my driver's here. Not 20% off for teens.
I don't need you to tell me when I've landed in a new city. And
it drives me nuts.
There's Ubers. Yeah. I'm I know. I'm going to be grabbing one here.
I turned off all my notifications because it was spiking my anxiety every time I got a notification. Because I was like, you know me, and we've really honed in on this the last few weeks. The discomfort of people's expectations is really something I struggle with. And so every time I get a notification, I'm like, what is it that someone needs from me again right now? And usually it's like, oh, Instagram, haven't seen you in a while. And I'm like, that was not worth spiking my anxiety for an Instagram notification. So I have nothing on my phone, and that has truly been a game changer for my anxiety.
That's good, babe.
Although now I know if I get a notification, it's probably an expectation.
Yeah, I'm good at ignoring notifications.
You're really good at that. But you're good at tuning into things. You can watch
and tuning out. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, tuning in is inherently tuning out the other stuff too. But you can get lost in something and I'll have to try to get your attention versus there's a subconscious part of my brain that is always looking around for something that needs me.
Yeah. You could have been a great Secret Service agent in some ways. Always wanting to sit looking at the exits, always looking to see things around you, always, or a security person. You're always looking to see stuff. I'm living my life.
My husband's looking out for all the danger.
When you're not there, I kind of look. I am more vigilant and more aware. But yeah, I can tune into things quite easily, but I think it's a little bit of an escape for me, or it feels, I don't know, it's calming, it's centering in some ways.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I could do it. I just can't.
You can't. But you also kind of fight against it.
Yeah,
we watched, I do watch so much television.
Remember on some of our first episodes, you were like, I don't watch that much TV. It's okay.
I get a lot of stuff done though. It's a very weird mix of still being willing to be able to get stuff done and watching stuff. But I did just watch all of The Residents, which is only one season. The Residents. It's the murder mystery that takes place in the White House.
Oh yeah. I thought it was the medical show, but I think that's The Resident.
With a T, this is The Residence, like a place, like the White House, the residence of the White House. Which I'm hoping there's a season 2. They kind of set it up for maybe there to be a season 2, which is pretty cool. I'm going to burp, sorry. Excuse me, told you. You can cut that out. So bad.
Go on.
I don't feel very good right now, so I just need you to know that too. I just watched the full season of The Residence.
Uh-huh.
It's only one season right now, but they really set it up to be two. Let's just be clear. But you started watching that show with me, and I really thought that you were going to like that show. Like, I really did. I was like...
We started on the television?
Yes. I was like, we should watch the show. I think you'll be into it. It's like a murder mystery. We like Murder on the Orient Express. We like Knives Out. We like all this stuff. I think you'll like this. But you like actively did not like tune in. You were like, yeah, you can keep watching it.
Well, I
can
feel it right now. I feel what happens there because I go, why am I going to invest in these people that I know nothing about? I have to learn their whole stories and I have to try to solve this mystery. Why would I invest in this?
You don't have to try to solve it. It's going to solve it for you.
I know, but I'm investing my time, effort, and energy into this story versus investing in the things that are important to me.
Sure. I was like, this could be a great dinner time movie. Like our movie show. Like when we're watching dinner, we can watch the show. And so it'll take us a couple of minutes.
I don't even do that. I don't watch stuff during anything.
I've noticed it about you. You cannot tune in and spin something that I haven't said anything to you about. And now I'm going to call you out on the podcast.
It's fine.
We've been playing this new game called Split
Factions. Split Factions.
It's Split Faction, not Split Fiction.
Oh,
like
it book? Might be. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's Split Fiction because it's about two authors.
Yeah, Split Fiction. And we'll be playing, and like a cutscene will come up, and I'll be like, and then we'll come out of the cutscene. I'm like, hey, look, I need you. Like, you need to do this thing.
I already know where this is going.
And he's scrolling on his phone. He's like, I'm there. I'm doing it. I'm like, truly, the cutscene was maybe a minute, and it like pushes the story forward. And I lost you like that quick.
I was like, when did we get a flying car?
Yeah, I'm like, in
I watched the cutscene.
So it has been something that I've noticed. Like you like actively work against being like zoning into something or taking part in the experience. You're like, yeah, I'm going to scroll instead because I'll get my hit of whatever.
It's not even that. It's not like a dopamine thing. Because I also don't spend hours scrolling.
Yeah, and I don't even think you were scrolling. I think you were literally looking at news articles.
Yeah, I was
like,
reading.
What in... I was going to say a bad word. What in the world are you doing?
You can. It's hardly working through it.
I know, but it's not.
Yeah. I will say this. We've talked about this numerous times on the show. Anyone who listens to either of these shows, Hardly Working or Working Through It, knows that I'm weird this way, where I struggle to tune into anything right now.
Yeah, I do.
No one has ever said, I'm like that too, or my husband's just like that. And I'm realizing it's not just a me problem, but it's not that common is what it's starting to feel like.
No, I don't think that's true. I think that this is a point of tension for a lot of couples.
Really?
I can think about multiple couples, but there's one couple that comes to mind right now.
It's about baseball?
Yes.
Yeah.
That I know this is a point of tension and has been in the past.
Sure.
It just isn't a point of tension for me. Is it my preference? No. Would I like you to be in the game with me and playing with me? Yes. Do I have fun? Whether you're paying attention to the cutscene or not? Yes, I do. Do I know this is just kind of who you are? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I also know that if I said to you, hey, babe, like when we're playing Split Fiction next time, good, it's your fault.
Gotcha.
When we play Split Fiction today or tomorrow, would you mind just like putting your phone away so we can like have the experience together? You'd be like, yeah, you know what? I'll try that. Maybe I'll enjoy it more.
Yeah, it's
so
true.
Like, it's just not, but I already hear it. I can see it. And I'm like, I'm sure there are people that are listening to this that would be like, that's so annoying. I would hate if my husband did that. And I'm like, whatever, like, it's just who you are. And I also know, sorry, I know I'm speaking over you. Hold on. I also know, and I already said it, but I just have to say it again, that if I told you that, if I was like, hey, that's bugging me, you would be like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, I'll put it away. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm really going to try. And so I don't know. It's just not that. Would I like you to put your phone away next time? Yeah, I would.
Yeah, but this doesn't.
And also, I'm like.
This doesn't boil down to the phone being the problem, though.
No,
that's not what this is at all.
No, it's you being able to, you not being able to enjoy anything for long enough.
Yes.
To actually enjoy it.
Now, I did meet someone yesterday who is wired like me too. Long story short, but we ended up talking
Barry,
about...
is that his name?
No.
Brady?
Kalila.
Khaleesi. Just kidding.
Close.
Kalila.
She was the same way. It started with like, we were talking about TV versus streaming versus YouTube. And we started talking about YouTube, and I was like, honestly, YouTube is what I watch the most. And she's like, me too. I was like, really? What do you watch? She's like, personal development, growth, manifestation, all that kind of stuff. That's cool. I was like, oh. And I started asking some questions that, work with my brain. And she was like, yeah, like it's hard for me to engage in content because I'm like, I should be growing and moving and learning. And that clearly is a big motivator to me. But I've also realized a lot of the things that have served to help calm my anxiety or anxious thoughts have ultimately been the things that have kept me from engaging with things like being able to watch a TV show or stuff like that. So I know it's catch-22, but that's not necessarily what this episode is about.
Could be.
It could be, but that's not how we set it up.
But anyways, I just was saying, all that to say, I could see how people do have that. I was just trying to make you not feel alone and say that I do think that people have that issue and that problem. I just think it's a bigger point of tension. So people maybe hide it better, or they don't do it, or they don't talk about it, where I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to pull something off of your list? I've got more from other people, but I'd love to jump into more of the stuff that pertains to us.
Whatever you want. Is there self-care on that list?
No. I mean, there's things like taking walks. A lot of people started talking about taking walks. That's been a good one
for us in the recent week or so. One of mine is facials and massages. And like Burke Williams, I have a Burke Williams membership. It's like my little splurgy thing, I guess, that I do. I have a couple of self-care things, that and my nails.
Yeah.
But that has been really good for me. I think I never thought about what it felt like to take care of your skin. I mean, like, I have always taken care of my skin, like wash my face and all that stuff. But like the idea of like getting massages and like taking care of your body in that way and allowing your body to relax and kind of tension to quote unquote melt away. I've never thought that was something that was important until I did it and have been doing it consistently and go, yeah, like it's something that I look forward to. It's something that is healing and rejuvenating in my body in ways and centering in and of itself. So that's been a really good one for me that I wish I would have done sooner. Because I think I've had my Burke Williams membership maybe for 3 years at this point, but I wish I would have done it earlier.
So what does it do for you? I mean, you did just describe like it melts away and all this stuff, but like, is there something that gives you that you didn't have before?
I hold as many people do. I hold lots of tension in my shoulders and my back and my lower back, and getting massages has definitely helped with that. And it gives me the freedom in lieu of not taking a vacation every year. I think it does give me a day or a couple hours every month or so where I really am just sitting in a hot tub and I can go in the steam room or the
Is it because you get to do exactly what you want? Is that it? I'm trying to figure out like how I can connect with it. And that's good for you.
Yeah, I'm doing something that is healthy and good for my body or my skin.
Yeah.
I also get that time with my mom, which I think is a part of this too, is I think a lot of people when we're younger, we all go through I mean, I didn't really go through that phase. We all go through the phase when we're little kids. We all like love our parents. At some point in time, you're like, I don't really want to be around you. It's embarrassing. And then you kind of come back around to be like, we're friends. I don't know that I ever had the super embarrassing part in the middle. I probably did. But getting that time with my mom is also nice as well.
Yeah. I can understand the relational aspect.
Yeah. You don't really like or get self-care.
I'm trying. It's not like I'm a naysayer. I'm just trying to figure out what would it do.
I don't know.
Like I can't imagine.
I think a facial would be good for you, but you won't do it. Well, you would, but
there's not much I wouldn't do. But that's good. I know that's been a huge game changer for you. And if it has been 3 years, which it really has, it's right about when you were exiting your 9 to 5 and going into a different
maybe a
life.
little bit longer than that then, because I think I did have it when I was at Chick-fil-A for a
Me
while.
too, but I think that's what sparked it.
Yeah, I had a really bad experience at Massage Envy.
Oh, yes. But what I mean is more...
the stress.
Yeah. You're like, I need to take some time for me. And I can connect with that. I just don't know what my version of that is.
Yeah. Going to the spa, especially a Burke Williams spa where you have like access to the other amenities. Like I said, there's like a hot tub, there's showers, there's like a beauty room. You can get ready. You have a sauna, you have a steam room, you have a bath area, you have a quiet lounge area on top of all the other things. Like it really is an opportunity to be like, I'm just going to do what I want to do. And I do go with my mom, which is nice, but I also have gone by myself. They're different experiences for sure. But there is something about just being able to go and it's okay. Like you don't have your phone on you. It's in a locker. You're not allowed to have it out. And so you really are just kind of there.
Yeah. I'm glad that's good for you.
It is.
One of the things that came up quite a few times from other people, but also from me, they would phrase it in terms of what do they wish they would have done earlier because it's drastically changed the quality of their life, is breakups. For me, it was divorce.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But the sentiment is still the same. It's, I wish I hadn't spent so much time in the wrong relationship. And someone said it well when they basically said, like, there's just some things you can't see from the inside, and you
Yeah.
can only see once you've moved away from it.
Yeah.
And I know that's true for me. And it's true of probably anybody listening to this who's been in a relationship that didn't work out.
I don't have any muscles. Sorry. I think it's true. I mean, I can't.
That is the single most impactful thing in my life, like change, that having ended that relationship gave me an opportunity to figure out who I was and what I needed, expected, whatever it is from a relationship, and ultimately led to our relationship and our marriage, which is wonderful in my life, a huge plus. And of course, I'm not lowering someone to raise somebody up. It's never my intention. But some people aren't bad people, but they're bad for you. And that was the situation that I was in. And you are a good person. You're also a good fit for me. And that's drastically changed my life. But I know, much like I'm sure many people don't want to pull the trigger on something like that because it is like life altering. Whether it's life altering because you're married with kids and have property together and a business or whatever, or even just like, we've been together so long, if we break up, what are people going to think? Like that something's wrong with me or with him, or it was never this or never that.
Yeah, it's like sometimes you got to do the thing that's healthy and right for you.
Yeah. And it kind of bleeds into one other one that I have, if you don't mind me taking 2 slots here.
Go for it.
Caring less about what people thought about me.
Yeah.
I know that's it's almost getting tropey now, trope-ish, but
trope for a reason.
I found myself in a lot of difficult places in my life because I kept doing what I thought I should do based on the people and places I was at and with. You know, like getting married is a very easy answer. And I mean, this is too broad stroke because I made all of those choices to do that. But it made sense within the system that I was working with. You date, you get engaged, you get married, you have a kid. And I was like, it was definitely scratching the good boy itch that I needed of like, look how well you're doing and how fast you're going. You're doing it before everybody else too. Like, wow. And that landed me in some not so great places, which once I left that relationship, everything else left too and exploded. And it was like, oh shit, I've just been living in a minefield this whole time and I didn't realize it.
Yeah.
I thought these were friends and community and blah, blah, blah. But they were all just these like landmines contingent on my decisions to understand whether or not they would explode in my life or not. So I wish that wasn't such a driving factor for me, what people think. I also think it's probably what has pushed me into places like entertainment, which is all about like, am I good enough or not? Not good enough? Okay, let me see if I can find a place where I'm good enough.
Yeah.
So I know there's some positives, but if I cared less about what people thought, or we call them typically imaginary fires, then I think I probably would have saved quite a bit of heartache, but also just general anxiety through my life of worrying like, oh my gosh, that just reminded me. I wanted to talk to you about the coping mechanisms or attachment styles.
Oh, yeah.
Because I won't spoil this because we'll talk about it on another one. But like part of me has an anxious attachment style. And that shows with stuff like worrying about how a text was perceived by somebody, or they haven't sent something back fast enough, or being scared that I said something that may have offended somebody and they're distancing themselves. It's always just worry. And I think I would have had less of that if I wasn't so dependent or codependent on what people thought of me.
Yeah. Those 2 that you just said kind of line up with two of mine. Sorry, my phone's not closed. Which was having less friends, but that's not really what I meant by it. But I meant like getting rid of the people in your. It's kind of the same idea of like breaking up with that person or like caring less what people think. But I think that was what it was for me. Someone that grew up in the church that had just had tons of acquaintances that I was like, they're my friends. We're really close. They're friends.
Yeah.
It's like at some point in time, when you are a people pleaser, or when you do care about people and what they have to say, or you want to make sure you're okay with everyone all the time, having less friends or choosing to be around people that fit with you or that work with you, that doesn't mean that they don't push you or stretch you or call you out on your crap, but like I'm so sorry. It's like having people in your life that match you and that don't take, but like give and take.
Yeah. A lot of people talked about friendships.
Yeah, but I could equate that to relationships or like caring less about people, because the caring less is really hard, but when you have so many people, like for you, a pastor at a church prior, so many people had eyes on you and they knew who you were. There's a lot more to lose if you make a mistake or if you don't care.
Right.
Whereas when you have less people in your life, it's like, well, everyone knows you. You and I say it, which is such like such a Christian way to say this, but like, I know your heart.
Yeah.
I know it's such a weird thing to say, but it's true.
Your
I'm like, I know your
character.
heart. I know your character. I know who you are. So like, even if you were to do something that was out of character, I would know that it was out of character and not be like, oh, that's who he really is. I'd be like, yeah, that was out of character. Like, you okay?
Yeah.
You okay, buddy? What's going on?
It's far more rare to be surprised when you hear something like they did what? It's far more common to be like, yeah, I could see them doing that.
Yeah, this all goes back to me though, for what we talked about it last week. We'll talk about it again. The Tom Holland quote that's like, if you have a problem with me, text me. If you don't have my number, then you don't have a problem with me because you don't know me well enough to have a problem. Yeah. I think of that in the same way when you say...
Too many people have my number though.
That's true.
Too many people who shouldn't.
But I think of that in the same way of when I think about people pleasing or like want like your attachment style of wanting to make sure if it's all okay. I'm like, well, I don't need to care about what... such and such at such place. I can't say any of their names. I don't need to care about any of them think because they probably don't even have my number, nor do they even really know who I am.
Yeah. So
they're taking this one piece of me that they know, and they're using that to build this whole idea of who they think I am. And so they've now built me out to be whoever this is, but they don't know me well enough to know who I actually am or the intricacies of like my thoughts or what I think or what I've been through or who I am and what's made me who I am. Because I don't think I'm a bad person. I think I'm a pretty good person.
You're pretty cool.
I care. I'm caring. I'm kind. I can be a bitch sometimes, but who can't?
I haven't experienced that from you very often.
Thank you. I don't think it's very often. I think I just have moments where I'm bitchy.
Sure.
Because I'm maybe frustrated or hungry or having a tough day, and I normally come around quite quickly.
Yeah, you're really good at that.
And you're the one who normally sees it, and it's not even towards you. It's just like, that person, blah, 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 whatever it is.
Yeah, you have less of that person and more of just this feeling.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at being like, this is just a feeling that I have versus like mad at someone. And I'm pretty good at, this is now just getting into a personal thing, but I'm pretty good at being like, I ultimately know that this isn't the right way to feel, but this is how I'm feeling right now. I just need to talk through it so I can get to the place that I know that I'm actually going to land. Yeah. But I have to talk through it to get there. And
which is ironic because you would describe yourself, at least
as an internal processor.
Yeah.
I think there's still pieces of me that are an internal processor. I think as you and I have become one person, it's easier for me to outward process with you.
Yeah, that makes sense. But your original thought was having less friends, essentially. Was that kind of
Let's go all the way back. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I think it's true. And that came up a lot too. Some people said, it came up a lot when people were talking about they stopped drinking and then they realized the people that they surrounded themselves with had one thing in common and it was drinking. And once that was gone, they didn't even want to be around those people anymore. There was just no common ground.
They're not fun. Yeah. Yeah. Having the right friends.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's, of course, very tricky, having the right people in your life, because you can choose some of the people in your life and you can't choose other people. And honestly, breaking up with a friend, so to speak, pretty difficult, like comparable to breaking up, a decent relationship.
Sometimes it's necessary. You can't have people that hold you back.
I know.
Or that, I said it, but that all they do is take from you or want something from you. And not everyone is aware that they are that person.
Yeah. I would say most good people who are still takers are not aware that they're taking from you.
Yeah. And I know that too. I am someone that's just overly aware of that. Like,
yeah,
I really try to communicate to my friends that like, hey, I think about Dana a lot in this when she got her new job. Like I was so excited for her and so happy for her. And I still am. And I know she goes through ups and downs, but I'm so excited for her. But it is important to me that like my friends in the industry know that I'm not like, oh, I'm excited that you're getting that job so you can hire me for my photo booth.
Yeah, sure.
Like, and that's a very specific thing, but like, I'm very aware of that.
Yeah, we've never wanted to ever come across or feel like we've been using people for anything.
Yeah. Now friends help friends, and I know that, and I'm very grateful and very lucky, but that's not why I'm friends with the people I'm friends with. I'm friends with them because I like them, we get along, and I love spending time with them.
Except for Dana. It's just for the job.
No, I love Dana. But yeah. So yeah. Having less friends, having more specific friends, or like it being. I think for me, it's more like it being okay to not be friends with everybody. You can be kind to people and not necessarily have to be their friend.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you hate them. That doesn't mean that you don't like them. That doesn't mean that you can't hang out sometimes in like social settings, you know, but you don't have to be friends with everyone that like you reach out and text them and check in on them and make sure they're okay and plan to have hangout dates and all that stuff.
I like checking in with people. I just don't hang out much. And my therapist was like, you don't have very many friends. That's totally fine.
That is true. And I'm learning that as well. But I have learned that when I go all the way back to making friends in your 30s is tough. I know I'm grateful for the friends I have in my life. And I'm grateful that it's only a handful because I can like actually spend time and like give time to them and know what's going on in their life. But this is the other thing I'll say is that for me, I also had to let go. And this is within the friend stuff, but things I wish I would have known or done sooner. So it's not my responsibility to plan everything and to make it happen. This was what Lindsay told me a long time ago, but like we don't water dead plants in friendships. That was something hard for me to learn, but I think it's been really good for me. And what that basically boils down to for me is like, I used to be the person that would reach out to check in with people, but no one really ever reached out to me. That's not necessarily true anymore.
Yeah, not anymore.
And there are seasons, right? There are seasons where you have a friend. Simone and I talk about this a lot. Like when she was pregnant and like giving birth to her baby and in the first couple of months of having Oliver, she wasn't necessarily reaching out to me, but like you're learning, like you're living
stuff going on. Clearly,
you have a whole new life. In the same way that I've had seasons where I've been really busy and working, and I'm not necessarily reaching out to her as much. But we're still reaching out to each other in the ways that we need. One takes over, right? And you kind of find that balance. But when the balance is off, which is where it was for me a couple of years ago, not with Simone, but with other friends, like when I was the one who was reaching out all of the time, watering a dead plant, so to speak. I had to learn that like I don't have to be the one that reaches out, and it's okay. You can it's a both and, right? You don't have to be the person that reaches out all the time, but you can also be the person that when someone does choose to reach out to you, that you don't have to be that person that's like, oh, nice to hear from you.
Right.
You can be like, oh my gosh, or you're jumping into whatever joke they just said, or you're meeting where they're at, whatever that looks like. And both can be true. Like you don't have to constantly reaching out. That doesn't mean that you don't like each other or that you aren't friendly, but you also don't have to be rude when they finally reach out after a year.
Yeah.
You can just pick up where you left off. And I think that that's the type of person I am now, where I'm not necessarily mean to anybody. I don't necessarily seek people out, but I'm also not going to like avoid you. Mm-hmm. And I'll meet your energy if you text me. If we haven't talked in 10 years and you text me today about something, I'll meet you right there.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I'm going to be like, yeah, let's go hang out. I'll give you like a whole afternoon because it's been a long time and I can say no.
And no is a complete sentence.
Yeah. But I will always be someone that is a safe place to reach out to.
Yeah. That's good.
But anyways, I wish I would have learned that. We don't water dead plants.
That's a hard one. The flip side of that too is if you're watering dead plants, the flip side of it is probably them going like, this guy just never gets the message that I'm not interested in this. If I was interested, I would text them back. I would text them first. All they ever do is text me.
Yeah, I know, which is why we don't water dead plants. We're not going to text them.
Exactly. Okay. We'll transition to something a little less serious, but still relevant.
Sorry.
No, not at all. I'm just throwing in some variety because it's the spice.
I got some variety too. A spicy laugh.
The spice of this podcast. Big thing that changed for me, laser hair removal.
That's on my list too.
Is it?
For my legs, specifically for my legs.
So I get it done just on my neck for where I have to shave because I have really dense, thick, coarse hair on my neck that grows in all sorts of different directions. And I cannot shave the neck portion of my beard without being a bloody mess. And I don't mean that in the British way. I mean that in the American way.
You used to shave like a couple of times a week if you had gigs on a bunch of days.
Yeah,
so it'd be like all red and...
Yeah, and the problem is like if I had 3 days in a row or something, I would shave and then I'd have to shave for the next day and it would be dark enough that it would be visible and you would want to shave it, but not long enough to actually be done well. So all it would do is like tear up my neck and it would look terrible. But now, oh my gosh, it's so much easier. And it was expensive and it hurt and I didn't want to do it, but it was a good thing.
Good. I did the same thing for my legs and it really hurts. Found a good numbing cream though. If you need it, I'll send it your way. But yeah, it's been the best thing because I'm that weirdo. You know this about me. Hasn't happened though in a really long time where if I haven't shaved my legs for a couple of days and I'm in bed and they're scratching just the right way, I would used to get out of bed and go and shave my legs because it was so uncomfortable.
In the middle of the night. It could be like 1 a.m. and she'd be like,
because I just haven't slept for hours is what's probably happening.
Or you woke up in the middle of the night and you're like, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, but it hasn't happened since we started.
Yeah, so that's a good thing.
My hair's definitely thinner and not growing in as quickly or as much.
It's good.
Except in my birthmark area because they cannot do stuff there.
That's darker. Yeah. Did you have some less serious ones that you wanted to add here before we get back to the serious?
Baking/cooking.
That has been cool for you and for me, to be honest.
And honestly, it's less about the act. Well, it is the act of doing it for me because there is something about baking and cooking that's good. It is the trying new recipes that I think I can do. It's the figuring out how much color I can add into a meal. Mm-hmm. It's the giving myself and you sometimes giving myself the permission that if I have an itch to make croissants, that you're like, yeah, just do it. Just try it. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't. And we're going to try a second batch here probably this week.
Not bad. You probably saw them on Instagram or TikTok, but we'll tweak it. But I love that you're creating.
Me too. And I want to do it more with Brooklyn.
Yeah. She's such a fan of yours in your baking and stuff.
I know. She's like, it's good. It could be better, but it's great.
For your first time, it's like a 10 out of 10.
I know. That's what she said about my croissants, my croissant.
But like, if it was like your 7th time, but because it's your first 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
She's so ridiculous.
But I'll take it. I mean, but I that has been like a really good for me. It's weird to say like healing my inner child because I don't know that I have like any trauma with baking and stuff like that.
What croissant hurt you?
No. But it is this weird thing for me where it really is just a fun experience for me to cook and try new things. I think that you could attest to the fact that like I'm learning that I'm really good at cooking and understanding flavors and thinking that something will work and it working, which I never thought that would be who I was in cooking, but it just is. And I really do enjoy it.
Yeah. I freaking enjoy it. I feel very lucky.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that every meal I make is good because not every meal is good, but normally if I try a meal and there's something wrong about it, the second time I make it, it's better. Because I've adjusted whatever the thing is that we were like, we didn't like that.
Also, if you do it right, you can cross off 2 of these things at the same time. You can cross off ending a relationship and also being happy and eating more delicious stuff if you do it right. I happen to accidentally stumble into a person who makes very delicious food.
You're welcome. I tried.
It all work out.
Thanks.
I put audiobooks on my my list.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. I know there's a really stupid debate about whether or not reading or listening to a book is reading.
It is, guys. Let's just be clear.
Look, if you're doing cardio, I don't care if you're walking, jogging, or on the Stairmaster or the elliptical. I don't care. The result is exercise. You don't read a book for the sake of reading. Maybe you do, and that's your meditation or whatever. I do that. Totally. I never read fiction books. Those are the ones that aren't true, right?
Yeah. Yes, you should read
fact or fiction.
Nonfiction.
No, I read
is not
fiction.
Fake. You read.
Yeah, whatever it is. I don't read any like stories. I don't read stories, which shouldn't be shocking to anyone who's been listening to just this episode that I can't just read a story. But
he reads nonfiction,
I guess. But mostly I listen to it.
Autobiographies and things like that.
Personal development, that kind of stuff. And it's been game changing for me. I think if you've been on the fence about, or if you just don't like reading or it's boring or whatever, I will say this: you will set yourself apart by reading or listening to books. I'm just going to say reading. Just know I'm talking about both. It will give you something to say that you didn't have to say before.
That's true.
It'll give you something to say more than just scrolling, more than just reading headlines of things. It will give you things to talk about in conversations. It will give you good takeaways that will make you look and sound and seem smarter, because guess what? You will be smarter because you will have learned something.
Yeah.
It will help challenge and change things in your life that might be firmly held beliefs. It may give you answers to things in your life that have been problems forever. For me, it also gave me, I wouldn't say identity, I guess community. Like when I've talked about it on the show, I finished Jimmy Carr's book recently and just started rereading it again.
That's great.
This time I'm on the Kindle and audio. Yeah.
That's cool.
Because there's so much good stuff and it's hard to take notes and quotes when you're just listening. So I'm going through it both. But it helped me understand what it's like to be a creative person and how some of my anxiety and the way my brain chemistry works is that if I'm not doing something, my brain is looking for a task or a or a puzzle to solve. And so it gave me the sense of like, oh, I'm not the only one. There's people that I look up to or respect or think are hysterical that struggle with similar things that I do. So it gave me a little bit of place and purpose and identity and community. And so there's just been so much beneficial for me by listening to books, reading books. And I think, I don't know, maybe it could help you too, but it's one thing that I wish I could have done earlier because I'd have just that much more experience and information.
It's good.
10 out of 10.
I like reading, but I also like listening too.
But you like reading. I was going to call them storybooks, but
You know fiction
what I mean.
books.
Yeah.
Murder mysteries, Sunrise on the Reaping. That's Hunger Games.
Oh, you just bought that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.
What's one of yours?
Having a therapist.
Therapy's on mine too. Hit me with yours and I'll tag up on anything.
I mean, just having a therapist, someone to kind of talk through things, to kind of vent to have you see a different perspective, to offer resources. I used to think for a long time that if you went to therapy, it meant that you were broken or something was wrong with you. So it was a big deal to be like, that's not necessarily what it is.
Yeah.
It's just self-care in its own way and helping yourself.
Yeah.
So I like my therapist. She's great. Her name is Trisha.
Shout out to Trisha, not a sponsor.
Shout out to her. But I enjoy that. It's good. I have therapy on Friday.
I'm surprised this came up on your list because for me, I've been in therapy for a long time, but you need to know a little bit about how I got into therapy. So I got into therapy as premarital counseling.
Yep.
Not with
me.
Kelly. Yeah, with my...
We've never done therapy together.
Yeah. But I was in there with my first wife and our kid's mom, not because we thought we needed it, but because it was kind of like a prerequisite.
That's what you did.
Yeah, you went to premarital to understand what to expect because you could have no idea. And what happened was we did that for like 3 or 4 months, and then we didn't stop for like 2 years. That probably should have been a flag. That even before we were married, we ended up needing years of therapy. Then we took a break from therapy because our therapist had moved to a different state, and you can't practice out of state typically. And then we ended up seeing another therapist like a year later. So that was kind of my experience, was all couples therapy until I was out of that relationship and having to work through that divorce. And for the first time in my life, I was kind of just a solo person. And that's the therapy that I'm talking about that was life-changing for me, that I wish I would have done earlier. Not therapy because I was trying to figure out how to do life with somebody, but therapy because I needed to unpack my own shit. And that has been tremendously helpful. The reason why I thought it was surprising that it was on your list is because when I think about the two of us and when I think about which one of us needs therapy more,
it's not me.
I don't think it's you. Well, I would go so far as to say that knowing you and how you're wired, I don't think you would have needed therapy, period.
Yeah.
Mostly because you are great at compartmentalizing things. And things that have happened in your past, you can really kind of put those aside and they don't creep up on you in the way that like my anxiety or whatever creeps up on me, all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's only when those places and spaces get pinged or touched or whatever it is, or it's impacting some other thing that you have to deal with those things. And that's I think that's where the therapy can come in. But if none of those places or spaces had to be addressed, I don't think you would need to address them because you found your own ways to cope and work within those realities in a way that I think is healthy for you until you introduce someone like me who might be like, why is this broken over here? Or why aren't we connecting this way? Yeah. And then it comes back to some of those areas that you've dealt with or put away, but I haven't, or I don't know about, or whatever it is. I'm going a little too far there. All that to say is that I think you've developed some pretty healthy coping habits that don't need therapy as much as maybe some of my coping habits have.
Yeah, I think therapy makes me feel less crazy at times.
That's great.
I feel normal, or it gives me an opportunity to talk through stuff and know that how I'm feeling is okay. But there's also advice that she can give me that is helpful.
Yeah.
Towards whatever I'm doing. Co-parenting is a big one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I don't think we can dive too much into the co-parenting thing at this very second.
No, but do you know what I mean? Like that's been a big one for her. She's helped a lot with that.
Yeah.
Some of the work stuff, like leaving my job and coming here and knowing that like I wasn't doing anything wrong and I wasn't crazy or any of those things. So, and some of our own stuff too, that you and I work through, or my past stuff, like it's all been good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with you. I don't know. I like my therapist. And so in the same way that I like my nail tech and I like my facialist and my masseuse, that I like use the same people all the time. I like my therapist. And so I like seeing her and hanging out with her, quote unquote, every other week.
Yeah.
Do I think I could do less time in therapy? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it's good to talk about things. Like when I almost died in a plane this year.
Yeah.
Or the big conference that I did, like
or a year ago
with
all
car accident and the flood.
And everything that came after that.
Some of that stuff is helpful, but I do agree with you that I think I'm good at compartmentalizing, but I'm also good at processing through some of that stuff and being like, okay, like I'm okay in this moment. And then when I'm not okay, being like, it's okay to feel the things and let it out. We got to come back to a center and like be okay.
Yeah.
But I think I've always been good at that.
Yeah.
In ways.
I don't know if it's how you're wired. I don't know what part is nature versus nurture, but you are good at that. You're also really good at letting things go.
Yeah. Not always.
Yeah, but overall in day-to-day life, like I'll hold on to shit for a while. And you like water off the duck's back. You're just like, that bothered me. I'm okay now. I'm like, what do you mean you're okay now? It's only been 20 minutes.
And normally it takes me saying something though. Like that really bugged me. Like I'll say like, I didn't like that you did that or that hurt my feelings. And then I can walk through, or I didn't like that this person blah, 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 blah. And you'll say something and I'll be like, okay. And then I'll be fine.
But even like yesterday, you had a moment of frustration yesterday, not with me, but you told me all about it and you were really bothered by it.
I was, but
then it was fine.
But even in that, this is what I said earlier. I did tell you, I said, I know that this is probably what it is. And that this is where I should land. Like this feeling over here is where I need to be. But this is what I'm feeling. And I just need to talk it out and like get all this off my chest, even because I know this is probably the crazy Kelly that thinks about all the different things and is like, well, what if it's this? Like how annoying, blah, 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 blah. But I ultimately knew that this is where I needed to be and this is where I needed to land because this is probably where we were.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Which if you can't see me, I'm just holding two different hands at different places. And so it was kind of easy. But then it pings up again and it's weird because in this specific situation that you're talking about that we're not going to talk about on here, something was said. I felt a certain way. I knew that it probably wasn't meant that way and it was like meant to be over here.
Also, we're not sharing this because it's not our story to share. That's why we're not sharing this.
Yeah. Nothing to do with you. And then later on when that person came back and said something different or did something different, I then felt bad.
That you had felt upset?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I was like,
and
this person's going through a lot. I should have given him more grace. But
and for the record, wasn't I right?
It wasn't you. Weren't you right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, wasn't I right when I was like, it's probably this?
Yeah, and I told you that too. I said, I know that that's true, but this is how I'm feeling. And I need to get out how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking worst case scenario here. And I know that it's not that.
Feelings suck, man.
But I will say this too. That even, I didn't talk to you about this afterward, but even in the way that information was delivered during that time frame, it was still delivered in a way that it was like, could this be what I think it was?
Yeah, yeah.
And then it wasn't.
Right.
But I was like, just sometimes y'all need to communicate a little bit better.
That's true.
People. Okay? Sorry, that was a very cryptic thing we talked about. Sorry.
Yeah, 60 seconds of your life. I hope you enjoyed it. Not you, everyone listening. A few more things about therapy before we move on. I only have like one last thing that
me too.
has been life-changing. But I think one of the things that was really helpful for me with therapy, and honestly, it would be helpful for anybody because we all are a product of our environments, and a lot of the things that we believe, regardless of whether or not they're true, we believe because we were raised like that. Whether that's religiously, whether that's culturally, whether that's geographically, it doesn't matter. I kind of equate it to like, I can't remember what it's called right now. It's a funny name. But you know when, I believe it's Amish people, it might be Quakers. I think it's the Amish. They get like a year.
It's the Amish.
Yeah. Rootspringer. where they leave their
Rooshbringer.
Amish. I almost called it sheltered, but what I mean is like the bubble of their Amish community.
I don't know that it's a year. I think it's a couple of months. But
yeah, whatever it is, and they go out into the world and experience that. And I think the hope is that they come running back and they're like, it's crazy out there. Yeah. Some people do, some people don't. I think that's so healthy. And I wish that I had some kind of version of that. I think a lot of people get that in college. I didn't, because I went to a Christian college that just continued to affirm the things that I already believed. Well, in some cases. In others, I really had to figure it out for myself. And I'm grateful for both sides of that. But I associate it to things like that because I'll never forget when I, very close to when I had gotten my divorce finalized, I was going to a new therapist. It was my first solo therapist. And I was explaining how exhausting it is because I waited a whole year before like finalizing the divorce to try to see like, is this person going to
make a change?
And ultimately they didn't. That's okay. We're all happy now. But over the course of that year, it's not like I was very public about the situation. So not a lot of people knew, but as people kept finding out, they wanted to talk about it. And the culture that we were in was if someone reached out and they're like, hey,
let's grab coffee.
Can we get coffee this week? You didn't ever say no. You had to do that. Because if you didn't, you were avoiding confrontation. You were, avoiding accountability. You were hiding. Like there was nothing but negativity if you said no to a quote unquote coffee date, but more accurately, a coffee conflict or a coffee confrontation.
That one.
That's better. That's what we should call them. And I was telling my therapist, I'm like, it is so exhausting to have to relive this every time. Because I'm having to do this a couple times a week with people. And she's like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean? For all the reasons I just said to you.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I'm doing it. She's like, that's not normal.
Yeah.
Like, people aren't entitled to every part of your life. I just didn't understand that. Especially being a public figure.
You were young.
That. Yeah. Well, I mean, I was like 20.
And people took advantage
25.
of you.
You think so? What do you mean?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can't talk about it that much I could. I just.
In this case?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're not.
I think people took advantage over the position that they had held in your life prior to this time.
For sure.
You didn't work at the church anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You even stepped away during this time.
Yeah.
To give opportunity for Whitney to go and be there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people took advantage, knowing what I know now.
Yeah.
And many conversations we've had, I do think people took advantage of the position that they had played in your life or the role they played in your life while you were working at the church and threatened some I've talked about this a lot and threatened some things or said some things that I was like, that's not really fair of you to say in general. And you're only saying this to him because he was a pastor of the church prior. But like, you wouldn't say that to a random person.
Sure.
That attended your church.
Yes and no, because that worldview really believes that they are the world police and have a responsibility to be the police people of the world. So I think that they believe they were not taking advantage of their position of power, authority, or history. I think they believe they were doing what was right. Sure. And I can understand that, even though that's wrong. Definitively incorrect and wrong and damaging. But yeah, all that to say, having a therapist be like, that's not normal, started to open up my eyes to the realities of the unhealthy parts of the culture that I grew up in. And it's not unique to me. Everyone has those areas. You just might not know it.
Yeah.
But that was a really helpful thing. And it wasn't because I was broken, needed to be fixed. I mean, there was pieces of me that were, but some of the stuff that I took away from therapy was just going like, oh, it doesn't have to be this way because it isn't this way everywhere. It's just this way in my life because that's how I came up or what I believed or the expectation. It can be something different.
Yeah.
And that's still okay.
Yeah.
And that's still healthy, arguably, likely healthier. And so that was a big takeaway I had from therapy. I'm still currently in therapy. Thank Glob.
Me too.
Do you have any more? I have one more.
Yeah. My last one is buy the bigger pant size.
Oh.
Which is I'm still learning and having a tough time with, and that's okay. But we talk about this a lot. Is like I'm a 30-year-old woman. I'm in my 30s. I'm not supposed to be the same weight or look the same as I did when I was 18 years old in high school, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old in high school. It's a hard lesson for females to learn.
And males too, but yes, I agree.
But also, like, everyone's healthy looks different, and healthy doesn't necessarily mean being stick thin, skinny.
Sure.
It just means, like, how do you feel in your, and learning that too, like how you feel in your body is important. Like, do you feel healthy and happy?
Yeah.
And you can't, like, avoid things. Like, if you're eating brownies all the time and you're like, I feel healthy and happy. No, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
But
you may feel happy.
Yeah. But, like, you know, it's a scale, and everyone's different. Not everyone is built the same or looks the same. So it's that, but learning that is still a work in progress. But yeah, just buying the bigger pant size, not feeling like you have to fit into jeans that I fit into when I was in high school or right out of high school.
Yeah, I mean,
because I'm no longer 115 pounds.
No,
like I was, and I shouldn't be.
Yeah,
because that isn't healthy.
No,
for me.
Yeah, that is hard because I think it inherently comes with this conceit that you're not doing as good as you did. Like, I'm not as thin or as light or whatever as before. And even though you can be like, yeah, because that was 10, 15, for some people 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But it still feels like failure.
Yeah, I mean, it's just setting a new goal, right? Or a new place that's happy, and really learning at 30 years old, what is my appropriate BMI and where should I be and what should my weight be and all that stuff. And what should I be eating? What is good for my body? What is my body lacking now that I'm older? Right. Or whatever. So it's really figuring out those things, which work in progress always, but that was something that I wish I would have known sooner. And I'm still fighting to know now.
Yeah.
Is that it's okay. Like, you should not be. And if I was that size, there'd be something wrong with me.
Yeah, for sure. That's one of the things about conscious aging that Ram Dass talks about that I really like. And I'm sure you've heard me say so much. You know, whether it's not being the same weight as you were in high school, or the wrinkles or gray hairs or losing hair, whatever it is, that's all a part of the process. Yeah. Like, we all start off as shiny and wonderful as we can for the most part. Yeah. And then we get older. Like, it's not a flaw in the system. It is the process. Yeah. And he goes on to say, it's like when the leaves on the trees change color in the fall. And we go, oh, we can't have them be red. Get the green paint. We got to fix this. Yeah, it's like, no. You don't do that. That's a part of the process. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the same thing in our life, is like, you get older. And he talks about it, and I see it even in my life. He says, I look down at my hands and I see, the dark spots and the lines, and they resemble my dad's hands, more and more every day. And I feel like that too. I got these big palms in my hands like my dad had. My fingers are a lot smaller, but the palms are very big. I see a lot of my dad in my hands, and I'm like, it's not a problem getting older. It's how it all works. Yeah. And if, I don't know, it's got to be hard. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We heard a lot about that with the talk on perseverance a couple weeks ago, but yeah, it's a privilege to get to be older and to get to have another day. Mm-hmm. And Gary Vee mentions this probably once a month too. He's like, today's a good day if you woke up and you and your family members and loved ones are healthy. Yep. I was like, yeah, it really is. So yeah, that's a tricky one. My last one, thing I wish I would have started doing or known earlier that's changed my life, we talk about it a lot, is do the work now. Yeah. Do the work now. I'm not just talking about dentistry. No. I'm not just talking about working out. I'm talking about whatever it is you're passionate about. Don't wait for the opportunity to present itself to start doing it. Just do it. You want to start a podcast? Do the podcast. Guess what? You're going to start out with like 3 people listening, maybe 0 people listening. But if you don't do it, you're never going to get more people to talk to and make community with. Yeah. For me, obviously let me go back. I've had a very fortunate life where I've had some inherent talents, like just some natural talents, particularly with music and different stuff like that. And I've worked hard on those things, and they've gotten me into a lot of rooms that I wouldn't be able to get into without that. But it also started to develop this thing in me where I was like, if I just keep doing the things, the opportunities will find me, because they were for a long time. Yeah. And they still do at times. Yeah. But I started to realize, like, the big things in your life, the big dreams and goals, they aren't just going to happen. Yeah. Like, doing the work now combined with this idea that help is never coming is going to be the thing that gets you to where you want to go. Like, for instance, we talked about it on Hardly Working this week. Like if I don't book this TV show, that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm probably going to make this TV show on my own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because it's what a great opportunity, and hell yeah, I want to be a part of that. But if not, it's not the end of the road. Like, doing the work now got me the opportunities to be in those places to audition for things that I really am passionate about and want to do. But also blending that with the help is never coming is going to be the thing that likely is going to be what makes it happen. Robert DeVonzo in his auditioning class said it this way. He's like, don't wait for the right audition to come in. Don't try to figure out who the people and players are at the heads of networks and all of that. Yeah. Look around this room. The people in this room are going to be the ones who are more likely to put you in something than these other people who are just out there creating projects and don't even know you exist. So yeah, doing the work now, and just to put a button on it too. And I know if you've listened to us for any length of time, you've probably heard it. That idea, that belief, that notion of luck happens in the intersection of preparation and opportunity. If you get an opportunity and you're not prepared for it, that's not coming back around.
Yep.
So do the work now so that you're prepared for those opportunities. And remember, help's never coming. So start now. Just start it. You want to do something? Start it. As long as you're not hurting each other or kids. Hopefully not yourself, but definitely not kids. Then do the thing. Do the thing. Because I think we talked about it on Hardly Working through it last week. You don't have like an infinite amount of do-overs. At some point, you're like, well, while I feel behind, now I have aged myself out of, or I've responsibilityed myself out of, or I've established myself somewhere too much out of the opportunity to do the thing I want to do. As far as we know, this is the only chance we get, guys. Yeah. So do the work now so you can have the fun when you want it.
That's true.
That's all I got.
That's all I've got.
Was it fun for you?
Yeah. I'm still a little bit under the weather, so I'm still struggling through a bit, but I like talking to you. I like talking about the things that we've learned and the things that we wish we would have known sooner. And I hope that in 5 years, we'll have even more things that we wish we would have known sooner.
Knowing who you are and who I am, I'm sure we will, because I have a goal of never being able to look back 5 years and trust that person. Because I want to be so far.
That's fair. So different.
Yeah, I want to have grown and changed enough that I don't recognize who I was 5 years ago.
That's great.
And I realize the older I get, the less that happens. When you were 15 to 20, huge. 20 to 25, huge. 25 to 30, huge. As you keep going, it's like
30 to 35 was big too.
It's true, but I have a feeling the older I get, the less I'll feel that way. Because
you'll be with me, so I'll keep you centered and probably the same.
It'll be good. Well, I hope you guys got a handful, if not a multitude, spelling word of different things that you might be able to implement in your life, because honestly, we just want to make your life better too. Just like we want to make our lives better. More joy, less sorrow. That's the goal.
It's a song, I think, somewhere in there.
Probably Mumford & Sons. That is a callback. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Hardly Working Through It. I hope you had a good time. What are you pointing at?
The camera, but it's you.
I hope you have a wonderful week and you spend most of your time
hardly working through it. Love you.
Mean it.
Bye.